and some breaking news off the top here on this commercial-free Tuesday. The all-Democrat nominated Colorado Supreme Court has just announced that former President Trump will not be on the ballot in Colorado in 2024. At least that's what they think as of right now. Sebastian Gorka joins us now to talk about this just for a second before we get into the monologue. And sir, it's good to have you on. And you note here that the court, they've already decided to pause this decision in anticipation of an appeal. Go ahead, sir.
They're desperate, Rob. They're just bloody desperate.
Yeah.
They look at the latest figures today. President Trump, for the first time, has got a 50-point popularity average across the nations in key states against the current incumbent. What do? This is from the Mar-a-Lago raid to the New York Alvin Bragg indictments, to Judge Chutkan, to Jack Smith, and now Colorado. This is the only way they think they can stop him. Let's just stop for a moment and look at what this is about. They're saying that he was involved in an insurrection and therefore can't run for office. The only human being in history who has received 64 million votes and then 73 million votes running for president, who's only served one term, who has the constitutional right to run again. This is about one thing, Rob. This is about making sure that Americans cannot choose their next president. I've read the 14th Amendment live on radio. It says explicitly, it lists all of these positions. But the one position it doesn't mention is President of the United States. And that's why the lower court threw this out. They need to get this absurd decision, 6-3, where the 6 Supreme Court justices in Colorado refused to add their names to this 380-page document. This needs to be taken up by the Supreme Court in January, right when they open on the first day.
It seems that they're anticipating a pretty quick appeal to this thing. And you know what's the most interesting thing is that when Jack Smith brought his charges, and we know Jack Smith is a highly partisan man, he did not even bring charges of insurrection against the former president. He doesn't think there's a case for insurrection, but the Colorado Supreme Court just decided that because Trump, in their minds, created an insurrection, or led to an insurrection or inspired an insurrection, that he cannot be on the ballot in the state of Colorado. So they're going further than Jack Smith in making this statement, and they're basically saying to whatever percent of support, I think in Colorado, it's a blue state, so Trump has something around 40% support at this point. They're telling 40% of the people in the state of Colorado they can't vote for the man they want to vote for President of the United States. You're talking about millions and millions of people.
Yeah, look, your point is so well taken. Jack Smith, who is, just absolutely deranged in his hatred against President Trump, even he didn't use the post-Civil War 14th Amendment. And his case already, with the latest Supreme Court decision to hear the review of the 1312, a section of code being used against the January 6ers and the Presidential Immunity Clause, Jack Smith's case has been, put on ice for months. Yeah. We know that is collapsing already. But look, we used to joke, Rob, about Trump derangement syndrome. This is no longer a joke. When we have people in black robes anonymously trying to stop tens of millions of Americans from getting to choose their president. Remember what we were told 3 weeks ago. Remember what the New York Times editorial board, the Washington Post, Robert Kagan, 5,000 words, the whole issue of Atlantic told us, we've got this threat to democracy. It's the dictator Trump. You know what the threat to democracy is? The Colorado Supreme Court. It's Judge Chutkan. It's Jack Smith. It's Alvin Bragg. These are the true threats to democracy because they don't want to let Americans re-elect President Trump. Why? Because he's not part of the political elite. That is why they have to stop him, Rob.
It's so well said, and it's so true. And I tell you what, they just made another massive mistake. Yeah. Watch what happens in Colorado. I'm not saying that Trump's going to win the state in 2024, but I bet you right now he'll be on that ballot. And this just inspired a whole slew of new voters in that state because this is as ugly as it gets. What a huge unforced error. Sebastian Gorka, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Rob.